Hey everybody, welcome back to Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I'm your host Caleb.
Hi, I'm Seth. I talk Star Wars with this man.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, get
fine.
your
Let me get-
yeah. You got to eat the mic.
Oh yeah, yeah. Today's the day, huh?
Yeah, you're gonna need to because we were.
So,
Should I say how this started?
well, as the aggrieved party, I'll let you go first.
Well, aggrieved.
Sorry.
Am I the defense in this case, and you're like prosecution?
No, I'm just fucking with you. That's the.
Before we go into it, we should explain what we are. Escape Reality Star Wars Talk is a Star Wars podcast where we talk about mostly canon information, but we'll throw in some Legends stuff here and there, but we mostly follow a canon stuff, and we try to do a timeline, but whenever new content comes out, we go for the new
jump around a
content.
bit.
Yeah, because, got to talk about the new content, got to keep up with what's going on. For the most part, today's episode is going to be about the Halcyon Legacy comics, but I brought back an old feud.
Yep. I thought it was buried, and we had agreed to disagree.
So back in the Book of Boba Fett episode, a argument started between whether or not trees are a thing on Tatooine. Like, obviously, trees have to be a thing on Tatooine, in my opinion, because, where else does Boba Fett get his gaffy stick from? Where else do any of the Tuskens in that tribe get their gaffy sticks from? Because they all go on that POD, vision quest to get their, lizard POD vision quest to get a gaffy stick. Yeah. And so, obviously, they exist. To me, To you, it's more of a question of, do they really, though? Because we don't see any. And so, I remembered back in the day playing Star Wars Galaxies and going, which is a Legends video game. It's an old MMO where it was a sandbox game. It's very much, I equate it to, if Second Life was a Star Wars game. You get to RP and explore the world of Star Wars during the, old original trilogy era, specifically between episodes 4 and 5. And so I started playing a private server because the game has been shut down since 2012. So there's private servers now. Yeah. So I was playing a private server for a Twitch stream not too long ago. If you're watching on YouTube, go check out my Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/Escape Reality Films. Mm-hmm. Look, I'm getting all.
Oh yeah,
you're getting it all in today.
Yep. I hope you're ready.
So I was playing it, and I found I was like, for the last hour, I was like, well, we can go visit the point of interest because we're on Tatooine, and one of the things in Star Wars Galaxies is they give you the point of interest, all the highlights of Star Wars places to visit. You can go to the Lars homestead, you can go to Jabba's palace, you can go to where the escape pods crashed in episode 4. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll start with Biggs Darklighter's house because it's not that far from here, from where I'm at. Yeah. I drive to Biggs Darklighter's house, and I'm not thinking about it when I approach it at first, and I'm just walking around. I'm like, oh yeah, here's his house, and then I turn around. I'm like, wait a minute. I was just looking at these. Wait a minute. I was right. There are trees here. And I show all these trees that are planted here. Now, obviously, they're not in the sand. Yeah. But they are planted within the Tatooine desert. And so obviously there are trees. And then I didn't. And so I the next day I clip it and make it a TikTok, and I showed it, and I was like, hey Seth, look, it's evidence. It's my vindication. Yeah. I said it's my vindication. And then I didn't put it in the TikTok, but then I drove further to go to Lars's homestead. Yeah. And I drove through a city where there are even more trees. I didn't put it in the TikTok, but I did say it while streaming. I was like, look, even more vindication. And I was kind of upset because you did watch the beginning of that stream, and then you left 10 minutes in.
I think I showed up for 10 minutes. I was like, all right, good luck with the heroics, and then I left.
And then I was like, God damn it, he's not here.
Yeah. You're like, fuck, if only he'd stayed for another 10 seconds.
Well, no, it was 3 hours, but because I do 4-hour streams generally.
Oh, God, man.
Yeah, last night was fun, though. I played Starwind, which is a Morrowind mod, that total conversion Star Wars mod. But that's not the point. So then the argument went back to Discord, which if you want to be part of the Discord and see this kind of discourse, join our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Escape Reality Films. Look at that. Look at all that synergy.
Yeah.
We're starting hot today. Apparently, because I picked you up today.
Yes.
As I do for all the podcast episodes, I pick you up and bring you to the studio because we live not too far from each other. So it's just
like
easier to carpool.
Yep.
You told me that you researched.
Yes.
You did research, and apparently
I wasted 4 hours of my life for this fucking argument.
And apparently you found some interesting conclusions.
Yeah.
That I told you not to tell me whether they agreed or disagreed with you. But you have notes.
Yes.
This man brought his notebook, which he keeps a notebook and he takes notes on a lot of things.
Sometimes they're very boring. Like they're just basic.
But you brought your notebook today.
Yes.
I'm kind of disappointed as the host here that you didn't give me slides as well. I could have posted them for the video side of this.
Yeah, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that. That sounds like more work than I already went through.
Look, if you're going to go through the effort, at least give us a nice PowerPoint presentation.
So...
Okay, but yeah, go ahead and present your argument.
Okay. So, first thing I thought of, I was like, well, does it rain on Tatooine?
Oh, there's some pre-context to this argument, because in the Discord server, I should say what the argument was.
Yeah.
So, the argument became, well, that's Legends information, it shouldn't count, is what your point was. And I said, well...
Your rule of thumb.
My rule of thumb, and I talked to some other creators, and I got some disagreements, some taking your side on just ignore Legends altogether, and some agreeing with me, which is, I view anything that doesn't directly, isn't directly, what's the term I'm looking for, where it's proven incorrect. Debunked, or, if it's not, if canon doesn't directly
explicitly
say that this is wrong. Like, for example, in Legends, Han and Leia had 3 children instead of 1. That's obviously no longer correct information because canon says they only had Ben. But say stuff like Darth Bane, we don't know much about Darth Bane. I'd say that as far as the novels and Legends are concerned, they can be mostly accurate, and because within Legends I view it as this is the story that people tell each other in bars, and so that's where some of the information is going to get incorrect, and so until canon information comes out and is like, oh, a historian found new information that says no, this is what actually happened, I view Legends as, okay, this is the most accurate telling we have at the moment, and which is why I think, since trees have not been disproven to be on Tatooine, they must be on Tatooine because Legend says they are on Tatooine. Now, and then of course at the end we were just like, okay, agree to disagree. But then you were like, well, I'm gonna look more into this, and I was like, okay, well, you can bring your argument onto the podcast.
Okay.
And so now we're here.
At the time, I was like, man, for right now, for me. Trees on Tatooine is the Schrodinger's cat of Star Wars, in that they may exist or they may not exist.
Yeah.
And I came to a conclusion. And the conclusion is as follows. Are you ready for this fucking 2.5 minutes of me writing down my line of thinking about how it started and how it ended?
I'm ready. I don't know if our audience is ready, but I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh boy. I can see the notes. It's like full pages, except for the last line. But nobody writes on the last line in a notebook.
There are no trees on Tatooine. This was supposed to be the evidence list. However, it's gonna be a bit rambly.
There are no trees on Tatooine? Is that your title of your thesis?
Yes. I find the evidence that is presented by the stream dragging a friend into Star Wars galaxies dubious due to its non-canonical nature. My original counter-evidence was going to come from the short story collection Star Wars Stories of Jedi and Sith, and the story The Eye of the Beholder by Sarwa Chadha. Because on page 64, paragraph 2, sentence 3, Anakin states the following: trees don't grow on Tatooine. However, I must admit that their evidence, while canon, is flimsy. What led me to my ultimate conclusion is the media that started the argument to begin with. The Book of Boba Fett, during which the titular character acquired a gaffi stick, a weapon traditionally used by Tuskens. Fett's staff is made of wordwood. I find the manner of its acquisition a bit strange due to the lizard affecting the protagonist's mind at the time, during which I believe he saw Tatooine's past as an ocean planet. I am led to believe that the lizard led Boba Fett to a dead tree, as it doesn't rain on Tatooine, because it doesn't have enough surface water to do that, and all other forms of water are either produced by machine or the fucking black melons, which don't work with tree roots. I will admit that trees exist on Tatooine, albeit as dead, lifeless things, such as sticks and ashes. In conclusion, I was wrong about there being no trees on Tatooine, but they don't live very long.
You know, I still feel vindicated.
That's fine.
I mean, so I think
There are other
I think there's other ways that trees can exist on
Yeah.
Tatooine. Like you said, they don't. The statement Anakin makes is that they don't grow on Tatooine.
Which is why I'm like, you are right. You're right on a technicality.
Which is the best kind of correct, as Futurama says.
But those fucking palm trees from Galaxies, they ain't real.
I think.
However,
The
part that confuses me
yeah,
is that Tatooine has natural plant life.
yeah, because it has like other plant life.
It has like grasses here and there. It has those fucking melons.
Yeah, because obviously the melons come from somewhere.
Yeah, they have to. But I'm like, that's not a tree though.
But where do melons usually, like those type of melons, usually grow? They grow on something. They don't just show up in the
they can't
dirt
just
or the sand.
spontaneous existence doesn't happen.
Yeah. Although it's Star Wars, so it could.
Yeah,
but,
it's entirely possible. There have been weirder things.
yeah. I think, and I think the other thing to take into account is even with my evidence in Galaxies, and I'll give you this.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's not grown. It's not in the sand.
Yeah.
They're in like almost like pot-like things where they're like
Yeah.
lifted from the dirt, from the sand, and they're in their own dirt.
Yeah.
And so like, I think trees, that's really my core of the argument, is that trees exist on Tatooine not because they grow on Tatooine, like they're not all natural there on Tatooine, but because people just tend to bring trees there
Yeah.
because they.
Like, I talked with this about my brother, and he was like, "Well, Seth," and when he looked at it, I'm like, he's like, "I don't think it would be too difficult to fucking import soil or trees," and I'm like, "Yeah, that there are no naturally occurring trees on Tatooine."
Yeah, maybe there were once because
Yeah, there were once
because
but there are no
Waterworld,
trees native
yeah,
to Tatooine
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, exactly.
They're all dead.
I think I think the crux of our disagreement comes from a misunderstanding of wording.
Oh yeah.
I think we agree at the core. Like, we agree that trees don't, like, naturally exist.
Yeah.
I think
over
technically right versus practical right, 6 on one hand, half a dozen on the other. I love this argument. I think it's a misunderstanding it's a miscommunication.
Yeah.
I think we agree. We just, like, have a different viewing of the wording of things. And I think that's where this argument comes from.
it's a perspective thing. I'm like, there are no fucking trees here.
And it's like, well, no, there are trees. And I point them out and you're like, no. I mean, it's like, no, I mean, they don't naturally grow. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. That wasn't my argument though.
Yeah. Like, my argument is a wholesale sentence. It's like an absolute sentence. There are no trees on Tatooine.
And then
whatsoever.
yeah.
But that's not
the argument I'm trying to make.
that's not your argument.
My argument is, yeah, there are trees. They just don't naturally grow.
Yeah. And it's like, the thing that I found out that surprised me, what do you think, without looking it up, the total like water moisture level on the surface amount of water on Tatooine is?
See,
You already know the answer, don't you?
I don't know. I can't say I know for sure, but because of my Star Wars Galaxies gameplay,
Okay.
I'm playing as a trader,
Yeah.
and one of my things I have to do is I do have to look for water,
Yeah.
and it shows me the percentage of likelihood for me to find it
Yep.
in certain areas. And the highest I've gotten is like a 47% chance of finding water. And so I would have to say it can't be more than like no need for foresters on Tatooine, about 0.05% according to Jennifer. I'd say about maybe I'd say a little higher. I wouldn't say at least 5% maybe.
The answer is fucking 1%. Which
Okay,
retroactively,
by Price is Right rules, Jennifer is closest and wins.
by the logic of like, speaking of Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi, and like the fact that moisture farmers are a thing, they are fucking killing it by Tatooine standards.
Yeah, because they get for the
So I'm like, and I'm now realizing why the Tuskens, a lot of them have such an issue. It's because they're like, that's our water, and it's like, well, I get it. This is your home.
yeah, it's the natives versus
Quit
the
trying
colonists.
to rob us, and maybe we just give you some back.
The problem is,
But of course, that's a whole.
the argument is would they though? Because
Would they?
Yeah, because it's the whole natives versus colonists,
Yeah.
colonizing and all
I
that.
don't want to get into that
Yeah,
too much.
I mean, Book of Boba Fett deals with that issue, and we talked about that a little bit on the Book of Boba Fett episode, but we're not. That's not what we're here for
Yeah.
today.
And I was like, God damn. So, the conclusion is that you have to have money on Tatooine to even fucking own a tree.
Well, yeah,
Upkeep for that is insane.
yeah, because the Dark Lighters are funded. Like
Yeah.
the Dark Lighter, because using Galaxy's example, the Dark Lighters estate, they are doing well, I would assume. Obviously, Biggs doesn't do well because he doesn't
Yeah.
make it through A New Hope. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, at the end of it, like Tatooine, on it, water is more valuable than gold.
yeah.
Which now, do you remember that fucking water merchant from Book of Boba Fett?
Oh yeah.
This pisses me off more.
Yeah, the
I was
whole-
mad about it at the time because I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. But now that you understand like the levels of how little water there is on
Like-
Tatooine, you're like, oh, that really is just jacking up the price.
Yeah, because it's already bad.
Yeah.
Because it's hard enough for a normal person to get credits in Star Wars based on personal
Yeah.
experience.
But in the case of the mods, we're talking about teenagers and
Yeah. It's like, what, you're gonna fucking take water away from teenagers as well?
apparently so.
I know this is a crime planet. But could you not be a jerk about it?
yeah.
But in conclusion, there are trees on Tatooine.
They're just
However,
not natural.
They're not naturally occurring.
Okay.
Can we agree?
I think this isn't even
Do we have
this
a
isn't it.
peaceful
I was about to say this isn't even agree to disagree. This is just we agree.
Okay.
I think we have ended the debate for trees on Tatooine.
I will bury the hatchet.
I'm good with calling it.
Okay.
Trees on Tatooine debate concluded.
Yep.
We will not bring this up unless new media comes out regarding it. But I highly doubt it.
The thing is, right? I went and I checked like the dates, and so Book of Boba Fett happened. It doesn't canonically happen like in universe before Eye of the Beholder.
Yeah,
happens
because Eye of the Beholder's attack is during the Clone Wars. Yeah.
However, in terms of publication, Eye of the Beholder happens later on. But that doesn't help either.
Yeah. In fact, that kind of confuses the situation.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, we just watched a Book of Boba Fett. What the fuck?
Yeah. But that's it for that argument. I hope you enjoyed Seth fucking rants about trees and
I think this was a fun little
Yeah.
topic. I'm glad we brought it back and we found a consent, like a proper conclusion to it.
Yep.
So now we're gonna jump into Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Halcyon Legacy comic, which your boy is on the cover, Buryaga.
Yeah.
So, spoiler warning for this comic.
Yep.
We're going to talk about all 5 issues.
Mm-hmm.
So the premise is the main storyline takes place, I'd say, my guess would have to be after episode 7 at least, because
the First Order.
The First Order's around, and it's kind of like a bigger presence, and they make it sound like the Republic is.
Yeah.
Because I mean that happens in episode 7. The Republic gets.
Yep.
And so. So that we are following, Saminia, and her grandfather. What's his name? Sorry, I'm pulling up the info. Are we gonna get that info? I just want to know.
At the end of it, I was like, Samina and her grandfather.
Yeah. Okay. So we're with Samina and her grandfather, They don't tell us this right away.
Yeah.
They kind of let the information get there, but we're gonna out front state it. He's working with the Resistance.
Yes. And
he has intel on the First Order that is useful for the Resistance.
Yes.
And so they figure the best way to get passage to where the Resistance is that they got to meet up is to board the Halcyon Legacy.
Yes.
Which is this star cruiser. It's basically like going on a fancy cruise.
Fucking cruise ship.
Yeah, it's like going on.
Call it what it is.
It's like going on a cruise ship, and they are working with D309, which is the tour droid, guide droid, essentially that takes care of them. And so this is basically a big advertisement for the Disney Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel.
Capitalism.
Yeah, it's a little bit of capitalism. Just a little bit, but I think it's something we
still worthwhile.
Yeah, there was a discussion we had. I think the story still holds up on its own, whether or not it's a big advertisement for this hotel. And the reason I bring this up is because the droid is something that's prominent if you go to the hotel. Like you don't see a droid in person. I don't know if you see the droid in person. I haven't gone because it's a little expensive for my blood. And they but I have seen like you talk to it on like a video call thing, and you can have them tell you stories just like it does in this comic. Because in this comic, it's very similar to what was the other one that's very much like this that we talked about. There was one where there was a main story going on, and then they had like there was something like this that we read, I think. But anyways. They talk about previous guests on the Halcyon, which is interesting because, like, we talked about this with the Princess and the Scoundrel review, that the Halcyon Legacy has been around since as far back as the High Republic.
Yeah.
It just goes through new management each time. It goes through new management every time a new political power takes control of the galaxy. So the first story we get is one from the we get a hint of the prequel era one, but that stops short.
Yeah.
Because we see a little preview of Anakin fighting Asajj Ventress. But unfortunately, meanwhile, we learn that pirates are about to hijack the Halcyon Legacy, led by Crimson Jack.
Yeah. A character who I did not know anything about other than that man looks like a pirate.
And
he's probably a pirate.
And when I heard...
He talks like a pirate.
Yeah. When I heard that name...
He is a pirate.
Yeah, so he is a pirate. When I heard that name, I immediately thought back, okay, I know this name. And I know that image. I know who that guy is. And I think I thought about it. And then I was like, oh, he's from the old 70s and 80s Marvel Star Wars comics from back in the day. Which means he is a Legends character. Now canon. And... I immediately thought about that, and I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" I like he's always been like they brought him back in a way that he is still the exact same character. They just, I guess, made him younger because he's about this age that he is in the comic now, back in the original trilogy era of Star Wars. So I guess they So they would have had to make him younger in the canon version because he's probably in his 40s, maybe 30s or 40s, late 30s, early 40s, from the look of him. He's got a luxurious beard though, man. He's got it going. But he's that kind of character where you're like, oh, this is like a lovable bastard.
Yeah.
He's the lovable bastard trope. And I like that in a pirate, you know. I think a good pirate character should be a lovable bastard. And so he is trying to specifically find the spy, the Resistance spy, a.k.a. Samina's grandfather, on the ship. He doesn't know it's Samina's grandfather. But
it's like, I just know that they're on the ship.
Yep.
It has to be one of them. Which one of them is it? And
so he's in communications with the captain, Captain Kavan, and is going, hey, look, I don't have to attack your ship. You just got to give me the spy, and we can call it a day. But if not,
it's like, that's all I want.
Yeah. If not, I'll board your ship, and you know we'll do this the hard way if we have to.
Yep.
And of course, they don't truly know who it is yet. Well, Captain Kavan doesn't. I think somebody in her crew does.
Her assistant Lena Mock, I believe, does.
Yeah. Because I believe Lena Mock is the one that's part of the Resistance as well.
She's like, just don't say anything.
And so, meanwhile, so then you see the ship, and I love the design of Crimson Jack's ship.
Yeah.
It's very big and pirate, like it's very much like almost like he brought his whole stronghold with him.
Yeah.
Like he's like, rather than just having a pirate island, I'm just gonna have a huge ship that holds all my stuff, and I love it.
Yep.
And it's got like it's very much a pirate ship because it's got like it's got the different sails on it, and it's like I'll present this for because it's too good of a design to not show off. Let me see if I can window capture. So this is it. And so the big ship is theirs.
Yes.
The ship that's a little bit smaller and sleeker, that's the Halcyon. But yeah, like I said, it's a really cool design for a ship. And I like that Star Wars is willing to play with that, with designs and stuff like that. It's one of what I think one of the more fun parts of like Star Wars ship design is seeing that type of stuff, where it's like it's a blend of like an actual ship and a spaceship. But so in order to help calm the guest and help Samina kind of not overreact, the droid decides to tell a story.
Yeah,
and we get to hear something of one of the earliest guests, because this is during the High Republic era.
Yep.
And we get to hear a story about our boy Buryaga and their master, Nibasik. Yep.
Yeah.
And Buryaga and her are meditating.
Yep.
When Buryaga gets a vision of like, well, they sense something bad's about to happen, and so it kind of throws them off. And
this is during the Great Hyperspace Disaster.
Yeah, like it's
still ongoing.
Yeah. So,
which was bad.
Yeah.
In terms of, I think it's up there for me as like very bad things that have happened in Star Wars.
Yeah, there was a very intense debate about recently that I was in about discussing Lena So's kind of nonchalantness about the affair, and how like it was kind of a terrible decision for what happens in Book 2, like her to be like, oh yeah, the Nihil seem to be dead, even though like they caused one of the biggest natural disasters in recent history. Let's go ahead and hold a galactic fair and also have no actual protections about it. I personally don't agree with that assessment of Lena So, but I can understand it. Because like you said, it is a terrible disaster, but at the same time, I don't know how much more they could have done. They could have done maybe a little bit more, but
I think that so since that topic has now been brought
yeah,
up, the hyperspace disaster, as we've discussed, was not intentional.
yeah.
Although the Nihil definitely eventually claim it as we did that on purpose.
Well, yeah, because they're
do it again because fuck you.
Because they're a terrorist group, and that and let's. It's a little real worldy talk, but terrorist groups they want you to know they did something.
Yeah.
And
so I see, like, the Republic Fair was supposed to be another moment of, like, look, we're trying to make the best of things. Let's go and have, like, a little party.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they crashed that party pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like, it was supposed to be a moment of relief of, like, look, what we can all do together. It just didn't work out. And let's be real, they tried.
Yeah.
Okay? I can only imagine how much of a bitch and a half it was to even get the fair together to begin with.
Yeah. So, this is actually near the beginning of the disaster.
Yeah.
Because, like, Buryaga's sensing the, like, ships. Like, they go to the captain, who's this really cool Keldor looking, and they're like, oh, yeah, these ships just are appearing out of nowhere. And it's like, yeah, there were no ships on the hyperspace routes originally. They just appeared, which means the disaster's happening now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just starting. Because even Nibisik's like, wait, what? You said they just appeared? That's weird. And, like, but at the same time, she's like, okay, well, then it can't be a mistake. Your readings have to be correct.
Yeah. It's not.
Oh, sorry, the Nihil show up.
It's the Nihil showing up because of their fucking path drives.
Yeah, the path drives.
Which operate, like, short hyperspace lanes that they can use.
Which I'm excited for when you start reading what's going on in Star Wars right now in the main comic. Because they're getting into, like, that stuff. Because.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm sorry. Yeah, I misunderstood. Yeah.
Yeah. The hyperspace.
It's already happened. Yeah.
Is happening, and it probably will continue happening.
That's right.
But that's not what the current ship's coming.
So it has to be after Light of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But before Rising Storm.
Yes.
Because Light of the Jedi, we know what Buryaga's doing that whole time.
Yeah.
So, and this didn't happen during that book. So it has to be after. Yeah, because Nib is still alive after Light of... No. Nib dies during Light.
I think so.
So it has to be during Light. But we don't... Okay, I'm ready for that timeline book. There's a timeline book that's coming out.
Yeah.
I think it's... I don't know when exactly it's coming out, but it's coming out.
Yeah, we'll get...
We need that book.
We need that book. So, the Nihil show up, and Nibisik's like, alright, get ready, because they're gonna be coming. And it won't be a good time for any of us.
Yeah.
And so they're like, alright, how you wanna handle this? And it's like, And it's like, alright, Nib is like, I'll handle the ones that get on board. Buryaga, get in your ship and deal with them.
Get in your ship, yep.
And I was like, ship-to-ship combat is not as, I suppose, lenient on a Jedi's sense of morality as their normal combat is. Because, man, they get rid of a lot of Nihil.
It has to be late in the book.
Yeah.
Because at this point, what's his name is dead already.
Yeah.
Kavak. Or
Kassav.
Yeah, Kassav is already dead. Because Kassav is already dead because the new Tempest Runner that replaces him is already there. That bastard with his mech armor.
Yep. And Mr. Mech Armor, whose name I have forgotten.
Yeah, I forgot too. He's not important to me. I hate him.
Is just running through like the rest of the crew before meeting up and encountering Nibisik.
Yeah. Which I love the Nib's lightsaber.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See, I love me a good. I love a good cross guard saber. I love Nibs. I love Stellan's.
Mm-hmm.
Stellan's has a little cool thing where it has like a little
Yeah.
thing on top of it, like
Yeah. Meanwhile, Buryaga is outside, and he's kind of getting a bit overwhelmed.
yeah. Because he's letting his emotions are controlling, which is a thing even in Light of the Jedi where he gets very emotional.
Like, it's known that he's pretty good.
He's good at flying and good at shooting, but he also gets very emotional a lot of the time, and he lets his emotions get away from him, which is a lesson that Nib very much is constantly going, just breathe, relax, let the Force guide you.
Yep. And things are not going well, because 1 against 25, even for a Jedi, is a bit much.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it looks like Nib is kind of losing on account of being in a poison gas field.
Yeah.
Because this is another thing that Nihil like to do.
Yeah, they like to gas their enemies, and
Yep.
it's a very effective strategy, so
Yes.
I'll give them that.
I'm like, I don't like what you did, but I do understand its efficiency.
Yeah. And
But
so,
also, fuck you.
So just as Nib's about to, like, get hammered, literally, Nib smiles, and they're just like, what are you smiling at? And Nib's like, oh, just the fact I'm not alone, because then all these Halcyon soldiers come running in behind him and start shooting him.
Like, damn it.
And it's great.
The thing that Nib was in charge, they need to keep the Nihil from getting this little compass thing.
Yeah.
That's important for hyperspace travel.
Mm-hmm.
And they succeed in that, but they get the other thing that they really wanted, which was the star charts.
Yeah, and of course, like you were saying, it was looking bad for Burry. And just as like all hope is lost, we get this epic.
Fucking
It's very it's very Star Wars moment, very Western. The cavalry comes in, led by Stellan Geos to the rescue.
I don't hate you, Stellan. Since you've helped our boy.
I love Stellan. I think he
just took on too much, I think.
Yeah, Stellan's somebody
because of the circumstances.
Stellan is the gift. He's that. I think all three of that trio, Stellan, Avar, and Elzar. Well, Stellan and Avar specifically, they were the kids that were known as being gifted.
Yeah.
And so, as the gifted children, a lot of things are put upon them.
Yeah.
And of course, it's hard for them to say no.
Yeah. I do feel like Stellan later on should have probably started saying no a few times.
And so I get it, and it's also a reason.
I don't hate him.
It's also why Avar and Stellan butted heads a bit, because they're both the gifted children with different ideas of what they should be doing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Elzar is just over here like,
nobody cares. I'm the black sheep of the children. No one
will care what I do.
No one expects anything from me, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Except because of this lack of expectations, he's also more reckless.
Yeah. Like, I can do whatever.
Yeah.
Admittedly, there are times when that I can do whatever attitude works and it saves everyone.
Yeah.
However, there are times when I'm like, a little bit of just slowing down would have helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe your best friend would still be alive, Elzar.
I think Stellan. Well,
that situation was fucked.
I think Starlight was going down either way.
Yeah.
Whether or not Elzar had cut down them, I think even if they managed to stop the ship from falling, it was
out of commission.
It's out of commission, anyways. I don't know if Stellan would have died one way or the other. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Because I don't know like what the Nihil would have done what's their backup plan if the ship's not if Starlight's not crashing, because obviously I think Markion had a plan for a plan for a plan.
Yeah.
So like if something didn't go exactly the way he originally planned, he probably has a plan B to Z.
This Roe motherfucker.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so the Tempest Runner is like, okay, well, I got what I needed. We didn't quite get everything, but we got the
We
main
didn't get
thing.
everything we wanted, but we got the main objective complete.
And so instead of like trying to escape normally, he's like, I'll just blast a hole.
Yep. Since I can survive outside in space long enough for my crew to pick me up.
Yep.
Shame nobody else can.
Yeah, and so blast a hole in the bridge, which causes a lot of people to start flying out. But thankfully, Nib manages to use the force to crush the thing, crush the hole, and seal it in time to save the captain, at least.
Yeah.
And
Nib is like, I don't like how easy that was.
Yeah, he kind of ran away, and I don't think that's how this was supposed to go.
That's not what the fucking Nihil do. They don't run away.
Well, some do. They're kind of cowards.
And she's like, that guy kind of was winning.
Yeah.
Why did he run?
And so,
oh well,
that was the end of the story.
Yep.
And
meanwhile, in the present,
and that's basically to show like the training and like
this isn't the first time we've dealt with pirates.
Yeah, to show we've dealt with pirates before, and also like they're giving a tour and they're like, here's the training pod, the very pod that I told you about in the story that Buryaga was training in.
We did that out of gratitude. That's why this room exists.
Yep. And so
the next story,
we go back into the main story where now the pirates are shooting at them. They're trying to disable the ship essentially.
Yeah.
And oh, hold on, comic froze on me.
Oh no.
There we go. Oh no, don't stop freezing.
Oh boy.
There we go. Like it's been acting up lately. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so they do manage to disable him enough, and Crimson Jack's like, "Oh, hell yeah, we're gonna take the ship."
All right, diplomacy failed, and they're trying to run away. Let's make sure they can't run away.
Yeah, and so he calls again, like once again, the lovable bastard that he is. He's like, "Hey, I'll give you another chance to not start this the rough way." He's like, "I'll give you one more shot."
Yep.
Because once again, lovable bastard that he is.
All right. Look, I just want the spy. That's all I want. Don't try to run away.
And so,
if you run away, I will go over there and there will be a problem.
And so this is when we are introduced to Linka Mock, who's like...
Sorry, I got your name wrong.
You did get her last name, Mock.
Yeah, I was like, that's a weird last name.
But Linka Mock comes in and is like, and they are the director of the cruise.
Okay.
So they're like actually higher up on the chain of command when you, because they're like the one in charge of everything. The captain is just in charge of the ship specifically, but they're like in charge of the company. And so Linka's like, no, we can't let them board, and we can't allow this. And the captain's like, but I gotta protect my ship. And they're like, yeah, but they're after a resistance spy, and we can't allow that. And so,
she goes.
That's when the captain's like, hey, I've got an idea. And she runs over and she's like, all right, we're gonna lure the pirate ship closer because we're gonna get them into a solar storm.
Yeah. What's the plan? The plan is we're going to drive into a hurricane. We're going to what?
I think it's worse than that. A solar storm is way worse than a hurricane.
Yeah. But that's the closest,
yeah, I mean...
comparison.
So they're like, yeah, we're going to drive right into a star. And they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, the solar storm will catch them, and then we'll just divert from it at the last second. And this is another time for a quick. Well, first they go to like the casino. Our main character, Samina, grandfather and droid. They go to the casino, and that's when the droid's like, "Oh yeah, this reminds me of this time when bounty hunters were on the ship back in the old Republic days." So now we're out of not old Republic, but the fall of the Republic days, so prequel era. And we talk about Aura Singh.
Yes.
And so Aura Singh is looking for somebody specific.
Yep.
And
she's technically on vacation at the moment.
Oh yeah, it's
she's not.
Yeah. But they're like, it's a vacation where it's a workcation.
It's a case of like, if I happen to come across some work, I'll decide if I want to or not.
Oh yeah, because they're on like, so the stop that they're making is for a safari expedition.
Yeah.
Because like any other cruise ship in the real world, the Halcyon Legacy makes stops along its cruise route. Mm-hmm. So you get to explore a random planet based on what cruise route you took, and
yep.
In the case of the actual hotel, the premise is that you are stopping at Batuu, which is where Galaxy's Edge is set. So where the park at Disney is set, it's set on Batuu. Yep. And so the premise of the park is that you stop at Batuu, you go off, you ride the rides there, and interact with the story that takes place at the park, because there is an ongoing story that it's very Groundhog's Day, where every day it's the same story at the park, but it's because you have to be able to interact with a singular story. It'd be weird if there was an ongoing narrative, and then you don't go to Disney World for a year and you come back and it's like, oh, you've missed so much of the plot, and it's like, what? No, it's the same plot every day, so that way you can interact with different parts of the plot.
The fact that the idea of it being an ongoing narrative is very funny to me.
That would be one hell of a thing to do.
Yeah,
that'd be
damn near impossible.
That Disney would have some huge balls to do that. I mean, they've already got some big cojones, but I don't know if they do that
for that one. But Aura Singh is like, all right, I'm gonna go, and I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, and so it turns out one of the servers is actually our friend, our favorite other Claudite bounty hunter, Zam Wessel.
Mm-hmm.
Which Aura immediately recognizes. Aura's like, yeah, I know who the fuck you are. I'm not dumb.
It's very much like... Also, brief thing, at the moment, the Halcyon is controlled by the Hutts.
Yes.
Because they had a change in management.
Yeah, because once again, we talked about it at the beginning of this review. They change management over time.
Yep. And
this is pre-Attack of the Clones, just to provide context. This is probably episode 1 era. If I was to try to guess exactly when it takes place, I would say around episode, like not during episode 1, because we know Aura's on Tatooine, but around that time.
Yeah. And so Wessel's like, hey, I have
a job.
Yeah. She's like, all right, well, what?
And so she's looking for these specific somebody that owes money, I think, to the Hutts. Yeah. And she's like, once we get to the planet, we can deal with that because it's an easier target while the hunt's going.
Mm-hmm.
So they agree to work together and kind of split the profits.
Yep.
And
they do find the target that they're looking for on the Halcyon.
Yeah, and in fact they are like, hey, we're gonna deal with you soon, but we can't do it on the ship.
Yeah, and he explains his reasoning. He's like, it's very much a case of, I took a loan, I wanted to live big for a while.
Oh yeah, because
they took another loan
because they're looking for the client's kid.
Yeah.
Because because they owed so much to the Hutts, they were like scared that the Hutts would retaliate, and so they took the kid from the Hutts as like collateral to make sure they don't get. Yeah. Because it's not a Hutt. So Aura's not working for the Hutts. She's working for like another guest who works for the Hutts. Because she meets this guy who's like, hey, I'll hire you and pay you this much if you'll work for me and help me get my kid back.
Yeah.
And that's why Aura and Zam are like, yeah, we'll work together. We got our own jobs, but they are like jobs that like interlink. And so they make it to Numidian Prime, which is the world that they're going on this hunt with. And the guy who owes money is like, all right, follow me. I'll lead you to where we're keeping the kid. And of course, it's a trap. It's always a trap.
I was like, is that so? When I saw the creature that they're supposed to be hunting, I was like, that's a Minotaur.
Yeah,
you can't tell me that's not what that is.
Yeah, the Predavorax.
But in terms of design, I'm like, that's a cool monster.
It really is.
But once again, the fucking wildlife, man.
Once again, I'm gonna have to show them the art because, like, I think it's just fair that they see these cool designs. Look at that, especially with how much effort is put into this art. Like, the artists on these comics do so well with them. I say that now, knowing like some other comics that we're gonna get to way down the line where you're gonna hate the art. But
oh boy,
because everybody hates the art. But,
oh man,
but. Let's just say the mainline Star Wars comics were not as good looking as they are now.
Okay.
But yeah, so they get into a fight with the Predavorex, which wasn't always the trap, but it was like a trap that was like the pirate smuggler, whatever you want to call them, that kidnapped the guy's kid. Were like,
wait, no, I'm not supposed to be down here.
Yeah.
And like, well.
Meanwhile, the Hutt because they're watching from the Halcyon because it's just a big game to them. The Hutt's like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get some money out of this because I put money down on that going down the way it did. And so like, Aura and then Aura manages to make it through most of it.
Yeah.
And Zam comes in to save the day for the last minute to take down the Weequays.
Yeah.
And save the kid. And they managed to bring the kid back on board just in time.
Yep.
And
it's like, all right, kid, go back to your...
And also just in time to miss the solar storm that they were near. Yep. Because that planet is really close to a solar storm.
Yep.
Which is why this story is being told by the droid.
Yeah.
Because that's the connective tissue. And so they managed to get back on the ship just in time. Because I think the solar storm was the timer for how long they had to save the kid and get back.
Yep.
And so, like, that was the like little countdown. Like, we had the little countdown on the clock going. And so, of course, everybody gets paid.
Yep.
And so like, all of these stories are meant to help Samina be like, hey, everything's going to be fine.
Yep.
And so now Grandfather
like, all right.
Grandfather's like, I gotta talk to Mock.
Yeah, I gotta go talk to her.
And at this point, Crimson Jack's like, all right, I'm done warning y'all. It's time to board because I've given y'all 2 times to just work with me.
Yep.
And so if y'all aren't gonna do that, then we'll do a chase. We'll do a little chase. You want to be chased into the solar storm? We'll do that, and then I'm gonna board y'all. And in fact, we're gonna swivel towards the cannons and shoot at y'all.
You know what? Yeah, we will just shoot at you. And so and
that's
like,
the end of issue 2.
We're going into the storm.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, it's very much on Crimson Jack's ship. He's got this like really mouthy lieutenant.
Yeah.
Who's like pointing out,
who never gets his jokes, but also is pointing out all the flaws with Crimson Jack's plan.
Mm-hmm.
Which is upsetting because Crimson Jack has the best jokes. I don't get this guy not.
And this guy, eventually, Jack just is like, all right, fuck it. Bang.
Yeah, he finally just gets rid of the guy. Good on Jack. You know, sometimes there are toxic people in your life, and you got to get rid of them. You got to cut them out.
Sometimes criticism goes too far, as this man learned.
And so, you know,
I'm not sure what happened to this guy. I think he's alive.
Yeah,
but he has been laid the fuck out.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes you got to get rid of the toxic people in your life, and Crimson Jack, I think, did what was best for him.
Yeah. I think I misread the situation the first time.
Oh, as him being dead?
Thought he was like...
Because he just says, ow.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be dead, and that could have been his last words, but...
Yeah.
I mean, we don't ever see him again.
I thought he was incinerated. But
he's
not.
Yeah, I mean, we don't ever see him again, so I mean...
He might be dead.
I think he just got smacked the fuck out of, though. Because I feel like if he was shot or anything, we would have seen Crimson Jack holding a gun. And the panels do not show exactly what happened. So, they just show, like, that the guy gets...
The Halcyon enters the storm... And Crimson Jack's like, I'm not going in there. Actually, I think I'm just going to wait outside.
Yeah, because they got to come out eventually.
Yeah, it's like, the storm's not going to last forever. I can just wait it out.
Yeah. And, like, I liked seeing the representation of, like, the shields on the ship, like, just getting blown, like, because they're going into the storm. And Of course, once again, everybody's concerned.
And he's like, would you like another story? Everyone's like, yeah, we would.
Yeah, because at this point, everybody is being gathered into, like, the main hall.
Yeah, because that's, like, the safest place for them.
And so, right now, it's still just Samina and Grandpa, but everybody else is making their way there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the droid's like, I got another story. And, like, Grandpa's the one that points out, hey, just tell another story and keep my granddaughter, like, relaxed while I got to do what I got to do.
Yep.
And so, we get another story back, once again, while the Hutts are still in charge. This time, though, during the Clone Wars.
Yes.
And we can see that the Hutts have really changed the Halcyon. Because the Hutts owned the Halcyon for a good chunk of time.
Yeah. Like, they... At the next time we see the Halcyon...
Because Princess and the Scoundrel implies that the Hutts only, like, recently lost control of the Halcyon. Because even during the Imperial days, while the Imperials kind of had control, the Hutts still had a share of it.
Yeah.
Because in Princess and the Scoundrel, they talk about how, like, oh yeah, like, now that... Because this is, like, now that the war's over, the Imperials don't have control, really, and the Hutts don't either anymore. Because, like...
on account of most of the Hutts being dead.
Yeah.
Actually, almost all of them are dead.
Yeah, because, you know...
Because their cartel, like, the main, like, 6 head people, got killed.
Yeah. And, like...
And then Jabba got killed.
Yeah. Leaving, like, maybe 1 or 2 others that were, like, small fry around. But the cartel is essentially dead.
Yep. Which I think, of course, leads to events later on. And
yeah, it leads to, like, Book of Boba Fett, where the Pike Syndicate's like, oh, yeah, we can take our chance of being big again. And because the Pikes are kind of a major player, but, like, obviously nobody compares to the Hutts.
Yeah.
But, like, the Pikes and the Black Sun and all them, they're big players, but they're not the Hutts.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so... We see, like, a Rancor, like, who's held in chains.
He's like, I fucking...
And so, like, there's a senator on board. Not our main senator, but there is a senator on board. It's, I forget the race, but it's the same one as the Jedi Pivo, I think is his name. It's been a minute. Clone Wars.
I'm unfamiliar.
Yeah, anyways. They look like a Yoda's race, but they're more human color textures, yeah.
And so,
but Anakin and Padme are also on the ship because they're there to meet that that senator, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Because I think that senator is with the.
They are trying to get to him before he goes and spills a bunch of secrets to the Separatists.
Yeah, because he's about to convert to the Separatists.
Yep. And they're like, we have to catch him, but we also cannot let anyone know that we're from the Republic or a couple.
But
no, they can let them know they're a couple, but not that they're from the Republic.
Yeah, so they decide to play at romantic relationship, which is easy for them because, like, they're married. And this is kind of like they talk about how this is also like a second honeymoon, essentially.
Yeah.
Because, like,
the first one
kind of blew up.
Sucked.
Yeah.
Because honeymoons in Star Wars don't work out very well.
I'd say Princess and the Scoundrel wasn't too bad of a honeymoon, but it wasn't the best.
Yeah. I'm like, they never get, like, a time to just
be romantic
and relax. Ever.
Yeah. And so they decide to have a little fun while they're on the missions, which I think is nice. It's nice. It's nice seeing them have a moment to themselves and having fun. It is nice seeing that. Even if I think the relationship as a whole is terrible.
Not that great.
And so, like,
it's in one of those moments where you're like, oh, they're actually happy.
Yeah. And so, like, they do, like, the little jousting type thing, like, except it has, like, this really cool belt where there's a rope attached, but, like, an electric rope, so they can't go too far, so they have to fight and all that.
Yeah.
And then they go to, like, a little garden that's on the Halcyon, because the Halcyon is very much similar to Starlight Beacon in that it's pretty much got all your amenities. And so, like, there's a little garden area that they take a tour on, and they get a little sweet moment.
And it's like...
Unfortunately, there's an assassin that makes their way onto the ship. a very familiar assassin by the name of Ventress.
Yeah, I'm like, first thing that was
Also,
like,
that is a
what?
that is a that's a shot for sure of Ventress. Like, oh,
What?
that's a nice shot.
Hmm.
Let me get
I'm like,
real zoomed in here, and then I'll show the audience. It's very dominating, and it very much brings that presence that Ventress should have.
yep.
And I love the cloak kind of look, and I like she's really muscular in this too. Like,
I'm like, oh no.
that's some mommy imagery.
You know,
I'm not wrong.
no, I hate it because you're right. And
And it's not like, I'm not somebody who, like, I'm somebody who can appreciate a good mommy imagery. I'm not somebody who 100% is like, that's not the thing I'm gonna fall for immediately. But if I see a good mommy, yeah, I can appreciate that, and that's a good mommy imagery.
I've discussed this with you. I have a thing for evil sword women.
And that one does not help.
That did not help. I'm like, damn. If only you weren't evil.
Like, that's a really good fit
Yeah.
for her.
It is. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna enjoy this story. And so the story continues. And
So Anakin feels her
Anakin's
presence.
like, oh shit.
Because Anakin's like, damn it, I know who this is.
I know this is that woman that jumped me in the tunnel.
God damn it.
Fuck.
Because this is after Brotherhood,
Yeah.
but before a lot of other events. Like, he's grown his hair out, because Brotherhood, his hair is starting to grow,
Yep.
but it's not like what we know in Clone Wars. But this is about closer to what we know in Clone Wars. And so...
And so they're like, all right, the time for subtlety is long since
yeah,
gone.
and so basically, they're like, all right, we better go get that person. And unfortunately, as they're catching up, Ventress is already, like, on top of them.
Is so close to, like, just succeeding.
Ventress is literally
Like,
hovering over this man.
30 more feet, she would have made it.
It's not even 30 feet. She's literally right behind him. She just needs to go... just hug the man and grab him.
Yeah.
And then Anakin's like, hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Has this really cool action pose with the lightsaber out front.
Guess what? I've decided I will be jumping you this time.
And Padme's got her gun and she's looking all badass.
You're like, no, you're not getting away with
Although I'm kind of upset that they, once again, Padme is awesome, but like, whoever drew her for this comic couldn't help but do another midriff shot. Do we need another midriff outfit for Padme? We do not. We do not.
I didn't notice that. Like, did not register as important to my brain.
I'm just now registering it. I'm I'm just now registering it. And I'm just like, did we need it? Like, because the midriff thing, like,
is this a thing on Naboo?
This is a thing for Padme. Like, especially in the movies. But the biggest center is Attack of the Clones with the whole accidental midriff when on the battle on the arena. Like, that's the biggest, like.
Oh.
Where the Nexu cuts the back of her outfit, but somehow she gets a midriff outfit from that.
Wait, does it change?
Well, because she has, like, the full outfit, right? The full white outfit, right?
Oh, God, it does, doesn't it?
And then she gets the claw from the Nexu on the back, but somehow that creates a whole midriff.
How the fuck did that happen?
Like, that's the biggest center. Like, there can be a nice midriff outfit. And this is a nice outfit, and I guess it makes sense because they're on, like, a romantic cruise.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, it's like, you didn't need to do a midriff outfit. She doesn't need another midriff outfit.
She's like, Anakin, I don't have any fucking shirts.
Just midriffs. I packed all midriffs for this week-long cruise.
I don't know why I did this. But a fight breaks out.
Yeah, a fight breaks out, and once again... this one's not as good. Like, this Ventress's face is kind of funny in this, but like, but also like outside of that, it's a pretty good shot. But Ventress's face is kind of like it's kind of off-putting on that one, but like it's still a cool moment. And so like we get this big fight that breaks out, and of course, Padme's like, "Hey, let me try to get you out of here."
Hey, you want to live, right?
Actually, she's helping this other kid.
Yeah.
She finds this kid, and she's like, "Hey, you should probably get out of here. It's senator business. You're a kid. You don't need to be here."
Return to your drinks.
And then
business.
and then the guards are coming in as well to kind of deal with the commotion, trying to stop Padme.
Yeah.
And so Padme's like, "Nah, stun blast." And like Ventress and Anakin are doing their big duel, and they get surrounded by the Hutts. And
the Hutt's like, if any of them move, just kill them.
Like, I don't care.
We're not dealing with this.
Because we're neutral.
Yeah.
Because once again, this is before Clone Wars. So before the movie, so therefore Hutts are neutral still.
Yep. And it's like, and Asajj just like, I'm not winning this one, and I can't have this guy talking. So,
stabby stab.
Goodbye.
And also, she takes a note out of the Nihil playbook and decides to jump through a window.
Yep.
Yeah. Although, unlike the Nihil playbook, she doesn't have a mask, but you can survive a little bit of space quickly if you get into. Cause, a lot of Star Wars ships, they have a certain their shielding provides air even if the blast window's open.
So as long as you're quick about it.
Yeah. And so, and then of course Anakin helps seal it, while Padme is helping the kid not fly into space.
Yep.
And the kid happens to be the same race as Samina, by the way. So.
I thought at the time
it was Samina, and then.
No, not Samina. I thought it was her grandfather.
Let me see the name, because they mentioned the name, I think, of the kid. I think, actually, no, Grandpa says something at the end of the story. Not for this story, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's in the... Did they do an original trilogy era story, don't they? I think he's around for that one.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's the one he's around for.
I know he's, like, in one of these. I don't remember... I think it's the next one. It's either this one or the next one.
I think it's the next one.
Yeah.
Because the last one is about the lady that's on the ship.
Oh. Yeah.
Because there's a lady that's been on the ship for 100 years or something like that?
For like a good 100 years.
Because it's... No, not for 100 years, because it's during original No. I forget what era she starts on, but she's been around.
She's very old.
No, it's original. It's after episode 6 era.
Okay.
But she's 100 years or something old. Yep. But she's like been on the ship since the end of episode 6.
Yes.
Because of details that we'll talk about when we get to that story.
Yep.
But
and so Grandpa's like, "All right, granddaughter,
you need to hang out here. I have to talk to the director because I'll be disembarking the Halcyon early. You'll stay here because I can't sacrifice the people on this ship.
I can't do that. I have to go."
Because Grandpa is a good man. Because he knows that the Resistance is more than just him.
Yep.
And so he hugs his granddaughter goodbye, and also, and that's the end of that issue.
Yep.
And so he goes up to the bridge, and basically, well, no, he just leaves. He just gets on an escape pod. Yep. That's right. Meanwhile, everybody else is getting ready to be in the main hall.
Yep.
And the ship is like, okay, we can't stay in the storm much longer.
We have to go out.
And so they go ahead and get out of the storm.
Only they're immediately shot.
Yeah, they're immediately boarded and shot. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I just waited outside.
And
we are given another story.
And this one is about like the lowest point for the Halcyon, because it's during the Imperial reign, and like how even at the lowest points there can be the highs, and that's where Maz Kanata comes in.
Yeah.
Our girl Maz, love Maz, and So apparently Maz was doing a job for the Empire, basically a relic hunt.
Yes.
And Maz is like, oh yeah, I've got this relic for General Cardon, because now the Halcyon is run by the Empire, and specifically General Cardon.
Apparently we got stuck on the Anakin shot.
Did we? Let me see. Looks fine on my side. Let me see here if I can. Okay, are we good? Let me know if we're still stuck.
Yep.
But General Cardon is basically... there's a comparison to be made here. And it's very much a comparison that makes sense considering what the Empire is based off of.
Mm-hmm.
The villains from Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I like.
Did you catch that too?
Yeah. Yeah. I was also like, I don't. This is the thing where I'm like, I didn't like him before. This interaction with Maz and the whole thing.
Yeah, because he's already like
what pisses me off.
Because he's already like this guy that collects and hoards treasure, and he's much like the villains from Indiana Jones. He's stealing from other cultures.
The worst, like, then he goes and makes it worse, like, because he doesn't give it to like Imperial museums or anything.
No, it's just for him to hold.
Just for him.
It's just for him to hold, and not even
for some reason that pisses me off.
And
more.
it's not even organized or anything.
It's all just in a room.
Yeah, and so which once again is very similar to those villains from Indiana Jones. They just they hoarded a lot of treasure like that.
And so Maz is like, "All right, I got your treasure for you."
Yeah, and so it's basically this crown from Alderaan, which is even worse considering that this is post A New Hope.
Yeah.
So this is one of the last remaining artifacts of Alderaan.
Yep.
Like existence of a culture.
Yeah.
I mean, it's angering in the moment. We learn later on some stuff, but yeah, he's like, oh, hell yeah, this is going to go in my collection.
Yep.
And oh man, this line really made me hate him. The loss of Alderaan is my gain. You fucker. You.
And it's like, thanks, I'm glad.
So it turns out, though, Maz Kanata is playing this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because while the ship is mostly run by the Imperials, like on the higher levels, on the lower levels, it's run by smugglers and mercenaries and stuff. People that are like on hire.
Everyone else.
Like it's on hire. Like anybody that like just happens to be paid by the Empire to run the lower decks, because the Empire think they're too good to run that. And one of our favorite pirates is on these lower decks, Hondo Ohnaka.
Yep.
Who is in on this plan of stealing from the Empire. And along with our other favorite, Lando Calrissian, wearing his fit from Solo. I love that fit.
Yep. He's like, I wish I had my car.
Yeah. And so
but I don't.
And I love so it's interesting that a lot of times we run into Lando when he's playing Sabacc.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me. This man fucking loves Sabacc.
Like his appearance in Rebels is when we see him playing Sabacc as his intro to that episode. Solo, he's playing Sabacc. Here, he's playing Sabacc. The only time we get an intro to him and he's not playing Sabacc starting off is in Empire.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, so Lando, Hondo, and Maz are in on this. But Maz is pretending like that she's helping the Empire, and that Lando and Hondo are the ones like in charge of this heist.
Yeah.
And basically, the ship goes on lockdown, and they're like, "Oh shit, we gotta lock down all these artifacts. Got to keep my crown jewels, not let anybody in." Turns out though, Hondo's already in the safe.
Like, hey,
I'm already in here, you fucks.
I got you.
And they're like, "Oh shit, open the safe, open the safe," and turns out, nah, he's lying. He wasn't there.
Lying.
Yeah. I already do have.
However,
I do have the
back?
stuff
Can
already.
you go back?
Yeah.
Down
To the when he's on the call or
when he's running away.
when he's running that panel.
It was the reaction of one of the stormtroopers seeing another stormtrooper die.
Oh yeah. Where is it? You there, Holt? Now where's the fun in that? Look out, the pirate in October. Haven't been a pirate in years.
Hondo is very. There we go.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah. Oh my god. So hold on. Let me. Hopefully we don't get stuck again. But let me show that one.
It is a very amusing thing.
Yeah, it goes. Seems like you've run out of places to hide, businessman. Because he said that he's not a pirate in years. I'm a legitimate businessman. Because it's Hondo. Come over here and surrender for interrogation. That doesn't sound very appealing. I have a better idea. Why don't you come over here instead? That does it. Oof. You didn't think that one all the way through, did you? And they fall down. And Hondo, being the genius he is, actually grabbed on while that stormtrooper died. And his buddy comes in and he says, well, there goes TD 3300. Never was known for his smarts, but at least he got rid of that infernal pirate.
Calls his friend a dumbass. His friend is dead, and he's like, yeah, that guy was kind of dumb.
Yeah, he wasn't known for being smart. He was dumb.
It's like, all right.
Tell us how you really feel about your friend. But yeah, so...
Meanwhile,
they open the vault, and that gives Lando is impersonating one of the officers, and he's inspecting the goods to make sure that everything is still in there, and then knocks out the General Cardin.
Yep.
And as well as takes out the stormtroopers that are guarding him and makes a run for it with the chest.
Goodbye.
Because they were liberating the other artifacts for themselves to make a little profit, but they also are planning to give it back to some of the people that it should go to. Because Maz is basically paying them for it, and because she's like, I'm gonna give it back to the people that should have it, but I'm gonna pay you guys that way, because otherwise, because this is during a time when Lando and Hondo would not do something like this for free.
Yeah,
this is pre A New Hope. I mean, or pre-Empire at least.
Yeah,
it's probably post A New Hope, but it could be either. It could be set in either time. It just has to be pre-Empire because Lando would not do this for free yet. This is definitely, and Hondo definitely wouldn't do this for free.
Yeah.
And so it turns out though that the crown jewels of Alderaan were fake.
Yeah.
It was made up by Hondo and Maz to fuck with that guy.
Yep. And so, like I said earlier, Maz is like, I just wanted the box back. A friend gave it to me.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted it.
Yeah, because the box is hers. Or, yeah, like, it's been passed down to her from a friend. But the rest of the stuff, though, it's like, oh, this is all, like...
I'm just going to go give this back.
And then pay you guys.
Yeah, with the guy with the money that the man paid me.
Yep.
So everyone gets what they want.
Yep. And so we've returned back to the present-day storyline where the... Crimson Jack is boarded.
Jackie Boy is boarded.
Everybody is in the main hall except for the captain and Mock.
Yeah.
And Crimson Jack is in the bridge with them, holding them captive, while his pirates have basically brought everybody in and is like, Crimson Jack's like, all right, look, we got hostages now. Things will go down if you don't work with me. He's like, I don't want it to go that way, but if you don't work with me, they will.
For God's sake, just give me the spy. That's the only one I want. If you don't, I will get rid of everyone in this room.
And that's when Gramps makes a call from the escape pod that he's already on. He's already like a good distance away.
Yeah, he's like,
hey, if you want the spy, come get me, you motherfucker.
He's like, haha, it's me.
It's me.
I'm not on the ship.
Yeah, it's me. Hi, I'm the one you want. He's the problem.
Except he's not. It's Fucking
Yeah, no.
Jack over here.
He's not Taylor Swift.
No, he is not Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is not from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
But yeah, so Crimson Jack's like, God damn it, really?
Fucking motherfucker.
And that's when one of the bridge crewmen gets like the guts to go ahead and be like, fuck it, I'm gonna shoot at him for the Halcyon. Misses entirely. Like, it almost looks like Jack has the force the way he swerves, but like it's like I know he doesn't. He's just like this guy was just that bad of a shot.
Yeah.
and Jack full on grabs this man and tosses him.
Yep. He's like, what if he uses every fucking villain's favorite move, the grab and throw?
Yeah. And once again, it like the way the panel is, it looks like he force tosses him. But once again, it's like, no. I know
he's just really strong.
Like, I know he's not using the force because I know Crimson Jack can't. I know he's just going. But the panel doesn't show him grab, obviously, because not every little thing has to be seen in a comic book. You there's implied, things.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I can imply that he grabbed him. But like, if you didn't know this about Jack, you would think, yeah, he did just.
Yeah.
But like,
and so
like once again, he's like, all right, I'm gonna leave one of my guys here to make sure no funny business happens, and then I'm gonna go myself to grab this guy.
Like I'll do it myself.
Yeah, he decides to go Thanos.
Meanwhile,
the everybody on board is kind of getting ready to go full like resistance on these pirates. But they need one more story to kind of bring it all together. And so there's this older...
like this pirate does smack D309. And I'm like, ow, why?
Yeah. But then this...
just beating the shit out of protocol.
This older guest on the ship says, hey, we should tell her one more story.
Yeah.
It should be my story. About when we passed the Sungrazer comet. A quarter of a century ago, so that would be
25 years.
25 years, which fits the timeline, which is post Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
Yeah, so that fits. Yep.
Okay.
So we go back to post Return of the Jedi because they mention that the events of Princess and the Scoundrel in this issue.
Yeah.
Because turns out this passenger, her name is. I know the guy's name, Stolak, but she's with her boyfriend at the time, Stolak, and they go on this cruise together because they are trying to get away from her homeworld.
Mm-hmm.
And he's finally like, "Hey, I've got enough money. We can finally do this and go. We can go somewhere else because her homeworld she's been getting sick from it.
Yeah,
because they have a very industrial homeworld.
So the pollution is getting to her.
Yeah,
and making. Like, she might have been sick before, but that is certainly not helping.
But
so he's like, hey...
Like, she literally could die at any moment, and so...
We're gonna go do this.
And so, she still has some coughing fits, and Stolak's like, hey, I'm gonna get you something to drink.
Yep. I'm
gonna go... Because he notices somebody, and he's like, I'm gonna go get you a drink. Turns out he's not going to get a drink because he went the wrong way. Because, like, immediately she's like, hey, the drink bar's that... Oh, okay.
Okay.
It turns out that it's our other favorite bounty hunter. We're getting a lot of favorite bounty hunters in this comic. Bosk.
Yeah.
So Lizard
Bosk
Boy.
Is like, where you going, Stolak?
Yeah, you owe some money. So it turns out that the way Stolak paid for this cruise and got his girlfriend off their homeworld is... He basically owes a lot of money to crime lords.
Yeah. He's like, I took out every loan from every crime lord.
As much as I could.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I had to do that.
Yep.
And Bosk is like, look, you got to pay up or I got to turn you in, dead or alive. They don't care.
Still like, hear me out. What if you don't?
And he gets into a fight with this guy. Yeah. The fact that he sucker punches Bosk... And almost gets away with it, too. Yeah. Like, because Bosk does get a good hit, and after that, but he starts grabbing Bosk. Stolak almost wins this fight. In fact, no, he does win this fight. Which is ridiculous.
It's like, just He ties him up and leaves him in like a closet.
But also that's probably just Bosk's age showing, because once again, this is like we're getting to where Bosk is getting older.
Yeah.
He's not too old, because this is just Return of the Jedi era. But like he's getting up there.
Old.
He's getting up there. He's been bounty hunting since the Clone Wars.
So age is starting to slow him down a bit.
Yeah.
Not by much, but
it's catching up.
Yeah.
And so Stolak manages to leave, and he's like, "Look, I'll get you your money. Just let me do my thing, and we'll work this out." Yeah. In the meantime, I'm leaving you here. I'm taking your blaster, by the way.
I'm taking your gun.
And then I'm going to go get my girlfriend her drink.
Yep.
And so he goes back to their room and gets her a drink. And that's when we return to the present story for a little bit. And where Grandpa's been taken by Crimson Jack, and interrogation begins.
He's like, "Look, are you really a spy?"
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Well, let's make sure
that you're telling the truth. Also, we need the thing that we're looking for, because just because you say you're the spy, we still need the thing that you took.
Yep.
Because otherwise, I'm not getting paid.
Yep.
And so then we go back to the story of the passenger and Stolak, where we kind of have like this nice little romantic moment of her drawing his figure, and they get the droid 09 comes in and is like, "Hey, we're about to see the Sungrazer comet." Everybody,
Stolak is ready.
Yeah, Stolak like starts to grab for his gun because he's not sure if it's a bounty hunter or if it's. And so it's just 09. And 09's like, "Hey, everybody's going to the main hall to look at the Sungrazer comet. You've got X amount of minutes to come join us."
Yep.
And so he's like, "Okay, yeah, we'll be there."
Yeah.
And so we have one more romantic moment where she's like, "Hey, what's really going on?"
And I believe he tells her.
Yeah, he tells her. He says, "Hey, I needed to borrow money because I wasn't making the money fast enough. I was getting a lot of money from my job, but not enough. It wasn't enough to get you off the world, and I knew that you needed to get off."
Yeah.
Because he loves her.
If you had stayed there, it would have killed you.
Yep. And unfortunately, they get another knock, and he's like, "Oh, that stupid droid. Wrong droid.
Fuck.
It's 4LOM.
Wrong droid.
4LOM comes in and immediately grabs him by the neck.
4LOM, like, is not a droid I want to mess about with.
For real.
Yeah. Because I'm scared of this man.
So he comes in, immediately grabs Stolak by the neck, slams him into the wall, pulls out like a predator knife ready to stab him.
Kill you.
Because once again, dead or alive bounty.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "I'm going to do this." And that's when girlfriend comes in, and Stolak's fiance comes in and is like, "Nope.
Stabs him with like a fucking chisel.
Yeah, because she was, once again, she was doing Stolak's like figure, but she was like, it was like a chisel art piece. Yeah. And so she like, right into the back of the neck.
I'm like, thank God, this is one of those cases where it's like, thank God you're a droid, because that would have killed anyone else.
Yeah, but so he's stopped for the moment where he has to reboot, and Stolak's like, "All right, run. And so they run, only to run into more bounty hunters. Our friends Tonga and Zuckuss and Woru, who I don't think we know that one.
Yeah, that one's unfamiliar to me.
So
they're like, all right.
So Tonga is probably the most understanding out of these three.
Yeah.
Tonga's like, "Hey, I get it. We'll let you say your goodbyes, and then we'll turn you in. Because look, we don't have to kill you, and we get paid either way.
Your death is optional."
And she's not part of the bounty. And he's like, "Okay, I want to say goodbye to her." So they all go to the bridge, or to the main hall, to watch the Sungrazer, where we get one last little romantic moment between Stolak and her, and they get a goodbye kiss, and he goes ahead and lets himself be taken in.
Yep.
So also we know that at the very least, so this is interesting that this takes place after Return of the Jedi, because it means that Tonga and Losha, because Losha's mentioned, survive the events of the Bounty Hunter comics.
Yep.
And so does Zuckuss and 4LOM, who were also kind of up in the air, and Bosk. All these characters were up in the air. We didn't know if they'd survive, really, because trying to think if we have anything post episode 6 with most of them. I don't think so.
Nah.
And so, yeah. So these are characters we now know. Hey, they make it.
Yep.
Which, if you're a big Bounty Hunters fan, there you go. She had a gun that she took from him, but she didn't shoot.
Yeah. She's like, I realized that would probably be a bad idea.
And that it would make things worse. And so she decided, nope. It turns out, though, the people he took the money from, by the way, were Black Sun.
Yeah.
And the Black Sun never found their money because Solak put all of it into the Halcyon tickets. And he bought her...
He's like,
he basically
paid for forever.
Yeah, he basically bought her a lifetime.
Yeah.
And which is interesting because he's like they're just when they're watching the Sun Grazer Comet, they're talking about how like they might not see each other ever again, which they don't. But that thinking more along the lines of her
she
dying.
will die soon.
And then it turns out nope, she actually he was right because Stolak was optimistic. Stolak's like, "No, you're going to get better.
You're going to live forever."
And he was right. Bro was right. Because she's like, yeah, I lived way past when I should have because he was right. Staying on this ship, I got better because I wasn't
I wasn't in pollution.
Yeah. Turns out the pollution was killing me. And then she's like, oh, by the way, I still have that blaster from years ago.
And would you like a demonstration?
And so she takes out all of the pirates. She immediately goes, pew, pew, pew. And it's just like, hell yes.
And I'm like, yeah.
Also, her fit. Her fit in that scene is great. God, I gotta just... There are so many good pieces of art in this comic that I'm just like, okay, we gotta show that. Look at that. That's a nice outfit. But yeah, so I mean, they take out the pirates, and the people on the bridge do the same thing because they hear the fight going on.
Good.
They're like, okay, the passenger,
beat the shit out of it.
Because since the passenger is friends with the captain at this point, because she's been on the ship for 25 years, she's like, hey, she calls him and she's like, hey, we're safe now. Go ahead and deal with them.
Go fuck them up.
And she's like, Captain and Mock are like, okay, cool, bam. Meanwhile, back on Crimson Jack's ship, the Halcyon then jumps into hyperspace and.
Bye.
And Crimson Jack's like, well, that's fine, I guess. I got who I need, but I don't have what I needed from him. Yeah. And he calls the lieutenant from the First Order who's like, yeah, you can't prove that he's a resistance fighter. He's an old man.
It's like...
You didn't bring me what I need. And finally, Grandpa's like, hey, is this what you're looking for? And it's just a little model of the ship of Halcyon. And he's like, no, that's not what I want. You tricked me.
Gift for my granddaughter.
And that's when the lieutenant's like, all right, well, our contract with you is up. Crimson Jack, you failed us. Bye.
We're not paying you.
Yeah. And, of course, Jack's like, God damn it. And that's when the story ends with it turning out that Samina had the information the whole time. It turns out the necklace she was wearing that entire time had the information on it. And they meet up with Vi, who is from some of the books that are like connected to Resistance stuff.
You know the funniest bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that they did one of them. Crimson Jack's pirates did get his hands on the necklace early in the comic.
He thought it was drunk.
Yeah. I think he got shot.
Yeah, he did
immediately after that.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna let you give your thoughts real quick, but I got to do something real quick.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead and give your thoughts.
So, in conclusion, I like these stories. They were great. If I had to pick a favorite out of them, I think I would definitely... Oh, God damn, they're all really good. Do I want to go... They're all good. Okay, so we have Pirates, we have bounty hunters, we have Jedi. God, like the Halcyon to me, right, is a ship that has gone through a lot, and I do make the joke of, man, we get robbed every time we come on this ship, but that's not the case. Halcyon is very. I think for me, it serves as a newer constant in the galaxy, much like Coruscant. Like the Halcyon has been there, and it will be there probably until the end.
So what'd you give it? What are you giving it?
As a whole,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to pick my favorite story out of it, but
Oh, yeah.
they're all very good.
Yeah, they're also
I'm
good,
like,
yeah.
Fuck.
I mean, I feel like your favorite story probably is...
Go on.
It's probably the High Republic, because it's got your boy.
I know it. God, they were all very good.
They're very good stories. I really like the last story a lot, because it's very hopeful. And while it does end with Stolak being taken by the bounty hunters, it's still very hopeful, because at the end he's like, he did it out of love, and he gave himself up knowing that the person he loved would go on to live a better life. And he was right.
Yeah. Like, I think all of these stories are very good. I like them all.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to pick between them, and I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I will say very much, I think that the bounty hunter one is definitely where...
Which bounty hunter one? Because
Oh, fuck, that's right.
Are we talking about the last story or the
The second one.
Oh, okay, so Aura and Zam.
Yeah.
That one's kind of the not quite the least hopeful, but it's still hopeful.
Yeah.
But it's it's weird because it's about bounty hunters and it's not about but at the end of the day they're doing a good thing.
Yeah.
Because they save a kid.
Yep.
But it's different than your normal hopeful thing in Star Wars, because usually when you think hopeful, you think like the Republic or the Rebels or the Resistance winning the day or something like that. But you don't think of the bounty hunters winning.
Yeah, you don't think about for some reason, bounty hunters in Star Wars, I'll be blunt, they are not known for their sense of compassion.
They get kind of a bad rep. So
yeah.
I mean, I'd say the closest to a compassionate bounty hunter that we see is ironically Aura. I mean, not Aura. Is Ventress, Asajj Ventress. When she becomes a bounty hunter in Clone Wars, she's very hey, I'm gonna not do the things that certain bounty hunters are willing to cross. I'm not willing to cross certain lines that bounty hunters are
They're
her very first bounty hunter job, she double crosses the rest of the team because she's like, no, I'm not giving a child bride over to this guy.
No, fuck that. That's a terrible idea.
Because it's basically a child bride story. You know what I mean? But the bounty hunters don't know that's what they're bringing. But then when Ventress finds out, she's like, no, I'm not getting paid to do that.
And I guess everyone else was just like...
Well, Boba specifically was like, no, this is our job. But it's like, Boba, you're also a kid. You should be the most understanding of this bullshit.
It's like, nah, man, fuck that. To hell with this.
Yeah. I'd say later Boba Fett is a little bit more better of an honorable man. But that's because he's been through shit at that point.
I think
Cad Bane is honorable, but in a twisted sense.
Yeah. Very much that,
I'll do the job no matter what. Where he's honorable in that he'll finish his job. He won't double cross his jobs.
This is what the job is.
Yeah. Out of the ones that are honorable from beginning to end, I'd say Valence is probably our most honorable beginning to end. And the only reason that he's kind of the only reason that he's not the most honorable right now is because he's being forced to not be. Because Vader's like, hey, I know where your girlfriend that you love is, and I can just kill them at any moment.
At any point in time, I can kill your loved ones.
Which also includes the child that she's protecting.
Yep. And Valence has it bad. His life he's a good person, but man, does his life suck.
Yeah. And so that.
Overall, I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Okay. I was thinking like 8, 7.5. So we're on that same track. It's really good. If you like these type of stories where they're just like a collection of stories, if you like, I guess, anthologies.
Yeah.
But it also has a really good bookend, like, overall story. If you like that type of stuff, you'll like this. Yes, it's meant to be a little bit of an advertisement, but like it's really like if you don't know it's an advertisement, it works.
Yep.
And I just know it's an advertisement because I'm in on that stuff, but I'm also like, it works as its own story.
Yep.
So I suggest reading it. It's a fun.
Read it for yourself.
It's a fun story. And Crimson Jack is a fun.
Yeah. He's a fun antagonist.
I hope they bring him back for more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, what do we got next week?
This is a good question.
Let me look up what our next. I think we're sticking with continuing where we're kind of at with stories, where we're not, where we're talking about what is it? Not High Republic stuff. I think we're staying away from High Republic stuff for a little bit.
Mm.
Oh no, we go back to High Republic.
Really?
Yeah, next week we're reading a short story.
Okay.
That's right. We're reading Tales of Enlightenment, a different perspective. So we get a new Tales of Enlightenment short story. And then we got Obi-Wan after that. That's why I was thinking.
Do you think our friend Keth Sarapath will be there?
I know he is because I've read it already. Okay. Dang it, my computer is upset right now.
Is not happy with you at all.
I'm gonna have to get some compressed air soon.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and wrap this up before my computer explodes on me.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Let's thank everybody who is involved with making this happen.